Commit number 2 for Auburn football has arrived in the 2024 cycle. We're going to talk about this recruit, also what it means for him and Auburn football going forward. Before that, though, this is your reminder to smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content, and be sure to drop a comment down below as you're watching or listening today. It will help enter you into that ongoing subscriber giveaway for a signed Auburn football prize package. Details are listed in the description link. And lastly, I want to thank members of our booster club like Stan McCullers, who help produce videos like this. The 2023 recruiting cycle is barely in the rear view mirror, but we're moving on to the 2024 class and focusing on that going forward. Now, we've already given you our first commit video already, Amon Lane. Go check that out if you haven't for some information on him and what it means for him in Auburn football. But this time, this video, we're talking about the first official commit for this class for Coach Hugh Freeze. That would be your second one on the year. Jayden Lewis, a defensive back, has signed up to be part of the Auburn's 2024 class. The cool thing about Jayden Lewis is that he committed on National Signing Day. Now, mind you, he did commit on the 2023 National Signing Day, not necessarily his, which is about a year in the future from the point of doing this video, but it's still a really cool thing to see him do that, to kind of give a little bit of extra oomph to that day, since that's been taken away by the whole early signing period. We won't get into that in this video, but we'll just keep moving forward talking about him. Let's talk about the timeline of events, what brought us to this point. Much like is the case for many recruits out there, the process starts way early in their high school careers, building that relationship. And he was actually offered by the previous staff back on January of 2022, and obviously maintained that relationship up until now with Hugh Freeze and the current staff. He did visit Auburn for their big junior day that ended the month of January 2023, and then just a few short days later, decided to commit to the Auburn Tigers, as I already said, on National Signing Day for 2023. Now I want to share some information about some things that you probably want to know about Jayden Lewis. Let's talk about where he comes from first. Anniston, Alabama, from Anniston High School, considered a 4-star defensive back prospect by most of the major recruiting services at this point. Now his measurables, a little bit of discrepancy there, so I'm going to give you kind of the range of what you can consider him. So for his height, about 5'11" to 6 foot. For his weight, anywhere from 165 to 175, which projects him currently and in the future probably at a cornerback position, though now we're really just talking about him as a general defensive back prospect. I do like to mention storylines around the prospect of a commitment. There are some pretty cool ones here. As we've already mentioned, he committed on the 2023 National Signing Day. One of the things that would be interesting to me to see if this becomes a trend not only for Auburn but across the board, that juniors for their upcoming cycle commit on the previous National Signing Day to kind of kickstart things, because let's be honest, early signing day has kind of taken a lot of the steam out of the excitement of that day. So it could be something that maybe builds up into the future and we see happen. Also really cool that this is 2 defensive backs and 2 cornerbacks in a row that Auburn has taken in 2024's class. And lastly, in the About This Prospect section, I want to give you some information about things that would tell you what we can expect of the type of athlete coming to be part of this class. Now, we don't have a lot of high school stats, interceptions for this particular position to talk about. What we can talk about is some speed times, how fast he is. So he was clocked at the 100-meter dash at 10.82 seconds, which is only slightly slower than his predecessor in this class, Amon Lane, who I believe also won a state championship in indoor as of this moment right now, which is really cool. So that tells you that he's a track and field athlete, a really fast guy. You want to have these speedy guys out there at the corner position to help be really good defenders for these really talented wide receivers that every offense is putting out these days. Now let's move on to talking about what it means for him, but also for Auburn football. And yes, let's start, as we always do, by talking about what it means for the makeup of this class. Again, just like with the very first one, this one's very easy to talk about simply because it's almost a mirror of the last one. It is the second commit of the class. It is the second traditional high school commit of this class as well. It is the second defensive commit, the second defensive back commit, and of course, the second cornerback commit as well. Now let's talk about the prospect for future playing time for this commit. A lot of time still left till he actually signs on the dotted line and arrives. But let's see what we can glean from that, from who's here currently right now. So this is the way you could kind of look at it. Right now, you would expect guys like Nehemiah Pritchett, DJ James, and Jalen Simpson to probably leave after this year before he arrives. That would mean guys like JD Rim, Austin Osbury are probably the next up at this position, but you've also got incoming freshmen from the 2023 class, Kayan Lee, JC Hart, and Colton Hood, who are going to be in the mix there, alongside anybody else that wants to come be a cornerback prospect here at Auburn. So you can see the room's pretty full, but as we always say, always expect to see these guys maybe on special teams, or at least get out there and have a shot to earn some playing time. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with them. I do always like to talk about where the prospect is coming from, because that's an important part of the puzzle that is the recruiting process. And this one, again, just like the first one, comes from the state of Alabama. We always talk about the necessity of taking care of your backyard, or at the very least, your home state. And we've done that again. Even more importantly, not just the second commit from Alabama, it is also the second commit from what I'm calling the Birmingham region. Now, it's Moody, Alabama, which is outside of Birmingham, but it's close enough. We'll just call it the Birmingham region. Very talent-rich area. Extremely important to go in there and steal commits from your obviously in-state rival and continue to have a hold on that region. And lastly, let's talk about what this commitment could mean. Yes, for this class, but more specifically for the position group at this class, being the second defensive back, the second cornerback. We're really just getting started, and we typically take multiple defensive backs and cornerbacks in a cycle. And we kind of broke down the room earlier, so you could see where there's still a lot of names there, but there's still probably some opportunities to take others. The great thing is you've already found two highly regarded prospects to be part of this class to really get you started off well in the defensive category of this 2024 class. So there you have it. My thoughts on the second commitment for this class, Jayden Lewis. Would love to know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Be sure you do that so you can be entered into that subscriber giveaway. And as always, make sure you're subscribed, because that's part of the process too. And lastly, check out those links in the description for ways that you can help support us here at E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. War Eagle.